So Alabama's having some portal attrition, huh? For the first time in the modern era, Alabama being victimized by the mechanisms that make up college football 2024. Here's basically what happened if you've been living in a cave. Saban dominated. Saban basically threw the entire sport out the window, down 15 stories into the parking lot, but the rest of the sport didn't die. They've just been in the parking lot doing push-ups, and now they've stormed back up the stairs once he retired, and they're all ready to exact their pound of flesh on Alabama and new head coach Kalen DeBoer, who just walked into a hornet's nest. That hornet's nest also includes such rules as anyone's allowed to leave your team, but you can't really go get anyone right now because the portal window's closed. That's college football. So this is, on one hand, to me, the least shocking turn of events ever. Legendary head coach leaves. Some players want to leave because he's not there anymore, and that wouldn't really matter who got plugged in as new head coach. That was going to happen. So that's not shocking, but it is jarring. It's jarring to see Caleb Downs' name in the transfer portal. It's pretty jarring to see not just Downs, but Caden Proctor's name in the transfer portal. Right now, Jesse tells me the number 1, number 2, number 4, number 19, and number 29 players in the overall portal rankings are there by way of Alabama. They've lost 26 kids to the portal overall. Now, some of that was before Saban retired. Some of that was going to happen anyway, but Caleb Downs, for instance, was not going to happen. That is due in large part to Nick Saban's retirement. So anyway, yes, Saban retires, new head coach comes in, doesn't matter who it is, you're going to lose a lot of guys. That much, I think, is obvious. I do want to give you my thoughts. A lot of people were asking, hey, what you think about this? Well, I think it's not great for Alabama in the short term. Short term and long term, two different things here. So there's a take floating around out there that's pretty popular. I've seen a lot of people spout it off. I want to tell you what the take is. I'm trying to stay calm. And I want to give you my thoughts on it. Because you know how there are some kind of popular takes that float around that you look at and you say, I am so tired of hearing that. Well, this happens to be one of those for me. So, a lot of folks watching these players leave Alabama, and they hadn't really been able to hate on Bama for a while, so they're just popping off at the mouth any way they see fit. And one of those takes has been, oh, I guess they weren't loyal to the brand after all. I guess there's not really much special about Bama. Those kids were just committed to Nick Saban. Well, some of them were loyal to the brand. Some of them are still there. But I take your point. A lot of guys were there to play for Nick Saban. Here's my follow-up question. Not in 1994, but in 2024, could you point me to the program out there that kids are committing to regardless of head coach? Or, to put a finer point on it, in 2024, could you point me to any program out there where a high-profile coach could leave and everyone just stays? I was talking earlier today with the staff. I think Stanford has that. Ironically enough, they're well off the beaten playoff path. But Stanford is a place where if I got an offer and my priorities are in a certain alignment, I'm going there no matter if my sister's the head coach because it's a degree from Stanford. And so if the head coach at Stanford either gets fired or retires, yeah, it's a different ballgame there. But I'm talking about perennial playoff contending teams. Okay, right now, Sark leaves Texas. Right now, Kirby leaves Georgia. Right now, Ryan Day leaves Ohio State. Harbaugh may leave Michigan, like in the next 5 minutes or the next 5 days, or who knows. But you point to me in 2024, the brand out there that kids are blindly, magnetically pulled towards. I don't think it exists. You know, Bama is one of the case studies here. They won't be the last case study, trust me, of historic, iconic brands that not only you grew up watching, but your dad did and your grandfather did, that all of a sudden kids are committing to for reasons other than, you know, what the history books taught them. So that's the current status of college football. I don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. It kind of is what it is, though. I just think that there probably are coming times down the line where other programs suffer the same fate, and you'll come to realize, yeah, you were right about Bama. You were just right about the sport when you said that. So this isn't really a Bama thing to me. It's a college football thing. But that's the first take. The other take, this one's wild now. It's predictable, but it's wild. I was doing a national appearance, not to put too fine a point on it. And I was asked within the last couple of days, try not to throw this show under the bus because I go on there a lot. I was asked, with all these players leaving Alabama, I got asked, do you think that they made the right hire in Kalen DeBoer? Yeah, I think they made the right hire. I have been in the SEC for a long time. I've been around SEC coaches for a long time. The ones who win the battles constantly, the ones who dominate the portal, the ones who dominate in recruiting, they're covered in scars. Those are the ones who win. They are covered figuratively in scars. The way this conference operates is not for the weak at heart. It's different. It's a unique culture. It's a unique ecosystem unto anywhere else in college football. There are some guys who have grown up down here who go elsewhere. Lanning does it at Oregon. But recruiting in the entirety on the West Coast pales in comparison to how intense the knife fight is down here. Kalen DeBoer just walked into it. And I'd imagine he's got some fresh scars on him right now. I think there is a major misread by a lot of people on who that guy is. A lot of folks look at him as some dude who came from the Pacific Northwest and he's in the SEC now and he's going to get chewed up and spit out. I don't think that's it at all. I think right now they're probably cut, they're bleeding at Alabama a little bit, but that'll turn. I mean, that'll turn. Like there'll be a day down the road, a few months, where spring football started and they've got all the momentum on their side, couple of commitments. You're hearing good things about the coaching staff. Then the post-spring portal opens up and then summer recruiting starts to pay dividends for them. There'll be plenty of times down the road where Alabama's got such momentum that it makes you laugh to look back on what you said and what other people said about them in early to mid-January. But here's what's going to last. What's going to last is some of the misconceptions about Kalen DeBoer being a fish out of water down here. I don't think he is at all. I think that guy is perfectly cut out to, once he gets his feet under him and once that staff gets its collective feet under it, to thrive. In the SEC, doing things by the SEC code is just different than the way it's worked elsewhere, and it's probably a shock to the senses right now. And I'd imagine a couple of things. I'd imagine DeBoer's walked in down here and he's sat on the on-ramp and thought the traffic was going 80 and it's going about 110, and it takes you by surprise. It's like a cold tub plunge. It takes you by surprise to see how things really operate. To truly get behind that SEC curtain for the first time is a shock to the senses, and it swallows a lot of people up. But the ones who are cut out for it all of a sudden start to realize something about themselves. And there's this pulse of adrenaline, and there's this gritting of the teeth that you may have never quite felt, all due respect, at Washington or Indiana. And all of a sudden you look around and there are famous examples in the past of guys that get knocked down early and then they get back up and then, oh snap, did he just pull a sledgehammer out? Yeah, he did. I think down the road, I'm bookmarking a lot of stuff. Mid-January 2024. I'm just laughing at it. I don't know the future any better than some of you. Maybe I do better than some of you, but I'm bookmarking a lot of stuff because I have a feeling in the not-too-distant future, once they've dusted themselves off, him and that new staff, you'll find Kalen DeBoer fits in a whole lot more seamlessly in the SEC than apparently a lot of people think he will. So right now, you got big-time players walking out the door. They are going to have to overhaul their roster. In some cases, they're going to have to do that anyway. I actually have a lot of excitement about the coaching staff he's brought in. Dave Bartu, who we have a lot of respect for on this show, very integral in a lot of coaching searches out there. Bartu also is second to none when it comes to being able to accurately grade coaches, and I don't just mean head coaches, I mean pretty much anyone who's ever put a whistle around their neck in D1 or D2 or D3. And I was listening to him the other day, and he made a really good point. He said, look at the head coach OC-DC combination, which for Alabama now is Kalen DeBoer and Kane Womack, the defensive coordinator, coming there by way of South Alabama. And, of course, Ryan Grubb comes to Tuscaloosa from Washington. He said that may be the best head coach OC-DC combo in the SEC this coming year. What caliber of player will they have to operate with? I don't know. I have no clue. Those kids can still leave for the next couple of weeks if they want to. But long term, I think this is a really, really interesting dynamic. I just happen to see it through maybe a little different prism than some people do, which is fine, because I've been wrong before. We'll probably be wrong again. I don't think I am on this, though. We'll see.